Last night I had a bad dream, and it made me think of the steps of AA. Here's the dream. I'm not going to go into specifics, but I'll give you the gist of it. The gist of it is someone that I love that's really close to me, that's been in my life for years, owed me an amends. It was for something simple. It wasn't something that you couldn't get over. It was something simple. But they were given a lot of pushback as far as to even say sorry. And I gave an ultimatum, or, more or less like I either said it or I implied it, and the other person knew what I meant by, if you don't make an amends, we're done. Like, that's it. I woke up before the other person decided what to do. The message I received, though, from it was, even though I woke up, which I'm sure a psychiatrist can look at this dream and give me all kinds of reasons, but I was leaning towards the person was not going to make the amends. The amends wasn't some kind of big broadcast where they're going in front of the general public and saying, I have committed a sin against so-and-so and I apologize deeply, and get down on their knees and, beg forgiveness. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I just want an apology. Even something simple like, I apologize for hurting your feelings. And they wouldn't do it. So first, I was pissed off at the person. You get like that when you have a dream. Like, my God, I'm going to tell this person it was a dream. A bad one, nevertheless. A whole bunch of different things popped up. Like, am I going to go through with the commitment of walking away from this relationship as a result of not getting an amends? And again, I woke up too soon to see the whole dream through. But from previous experience and from who I am as a person, I may have. Now, that's hinged on the fact that my commitment to sticking to my guns, like, if you don't do this, this is going to happen. I really try to not dish out a possible consequence and then not go through with that consequence. I think that that's a bad precedent to set. Like, if I did that and then I have to live with myself, there would be a resonating resentment against the other person. So I'd probably walk, which is really stubborn. That was a long-winded way to say, here it is, an hour and a half, 2 hours later after I woke up. And I was thinking about the steps of AA, specifically the fourth and the fifth step, about making amends, or at least writing down your character defects, getting the list of people that you need to make amends for your ninth step. And I'm thinking, that was never, yes, it's difficult, it stinks, all that kind of stuff, but I thought about the 12 steps of AA always being relatively easy to do. And after this dream, I've been thinking, they're not. This stuff is hard. Even though it was a dream, it made me think about how difficult it is to say sorry. The amends is different than a sorry. The amends is trying to mend whatever happened to make it right. So in other words, instead of saying, hey, sorry for my behavior, to say an amends would be, maybe a more proper amends would be, hey, I'm really sorry for my behavior. What can I do to make things right? That's some difficult stuff. I started thinking, why do I look at it like it was so easy to do? And the reason why I look at it like that is, and I know that this sounds like almost like cliche, but I looked at those things as if my life depended on it. I had to do the steps, or else I was going to go back to that life, and that life of drinking was death to me. And if it wasn't death, it was pure misery and torture. So once, I'm laughing because I never looked at it like this before. That's why I look at it like it was easy. It wasn't easy, but in my, I guess maybe delusional thinking that I was going to die as a result of not doing the steps, I jumped into them and I just did them. So I was thinking about this, like when you're new and you come into AA and, they say do it at your own pace and, all this kind of stuff. And I just want you to get healthy, happy, and free of alcohol. I really do. However, if somebody's going to ask me my suggestion, I'm going to say I would get into the steps sooner than later. I would imagine that doing the steps is way harder when you don't feel as if your life depends on it. From my personal experience, just doing them, getting them done with the first time is super important. Now you got both feet in after going through the steps, and you have another opportunity to go through them again and again and again. I've been sober for 22 years now, and I've gone through the steps formally. When I say formally, working with a sponsor, working with someone else, and going through the steps formally on a regular basis, setting time aside, and that's what I mean by formally. So I went through them 3 times, and each one of them, just like that cliche, it's like a peeling of the onion. I'm laughing because of how true that is, but I hear it so much, and I get sick of it. Each time, it got a little bit more subtle. So let's say the first time I went through the steps, I'm talking about when I'm talking with the 4th and the 5th and the 8th and the 9th step. I'm going through these with my sponsor, and the first time might be where I may have laid my hands on somebody in I don't know, something's in a bar fight or I physically had my hands on somebody. The second time was I raised my voice. I'm using this as an example. It wasn't necessarily this clear cut, but I think this is a good example. The second time I go through the steps is about how I might have lost my cool and maybe raised my voice, maybe cursed. Then the third time I went through was how I hurt someone by just being cold or just giving silent scorn, where the other person didn't even realize it. And like, as I say it, like, oh, what a relief this new life is. Anyway, that's what I got for today. Have an amazing day.